So, hope I'm in frame. New to this YouTube stuff. So for today, I'm working on the car. I went up for a little bit yesterday. I'm kind of getting the engine to a point where I can lift out the existing 308 engine. I gotta put on a hat. This looks like shit. Okay, flat bill on. I'm sure it looked much smarter. So I've got to figure out if the engine is, so what I'm trying to do is lift out the current 308 engine so I can start to look and see, in fact, is there sort of any real frame damage, and start to clean everything out, figure out what needs to be cut out so that I can actually put this in play. A couple of parts I just got, which I'm super stoked about, off Ferrari chat from a cool guy. I got these short or quick ratio steering parts, so I can reduce the actual turning on the wheel. We're going to get into this here. So, sorry for the crazy wild ride. Right down here at the bottom is what I need to measure. What I'm looking at really, and let's get this strap up. This came with it, so I can actually lift this. Right here is the bracket for the alternator. And what I really need to see is this bolts on and off. I could move the alternator sort of up and higher up into like the valley of the motor and put it like right here or something along those lines. I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with that. But for now, I'm going to be measuring from just this point right here. Why there? Because if this bolts off and I can remove it, I'm just trying to see, does this thing fit in here fully? Let me move these boxes over. Of course, I got super performance bags right there. Okay, what's important for me is, can I fit it to at least the point where this lower oil passage, when it's down all the way, will it fit in underneath there? So that the width from here, this kind of like widest point, or actually, let's just say this widest point down here, this ridge line, to on the other side, looking at this flange right here is probably the widest point that we have on here. Will those fit in the motor? Likewise, the lower parts right here. This is an oil filter, one of the oil filters for the dry sump, and sort of these square points right here. So pretty much everything, widest points right there, and then right there. Will they actually fit in the middle of the frame? And I think they will, based on me being underneath the car last night, putting back on the transmission pan, and today I'm putting on the oil pan. So heading back up to the garage. I'm really lucky that it is in this town, kind of right over. I'm renting a garage in a neighborhood up behind those buildings up there, and doing some wrenching. So it's not far, it's about a mile away. And this is sort of being an urban person who works on cars. It's very, very different than everybody else who has a home with a garage and everything's right downstairs, and I can just pull into my driveway and park right here because life's so easy. Being an urbanite working on a car is a totally different thing, but I think I've kind of got it figured out. So we're gonna pause right here, head up to the next spot. See ya. All right, here I'm back in the man cave filming. You can see this is Urban working on your car. This is a very small one-car garage that I rent. It's a series of 4 garages. It's actually cool. The guy next door has a pin scour that he does beer tours in San Diego, but this is pretty much it. This is not a lot of room here to be doing an engine swap. So certain things I'm going to be doing here. Certain things I'm going to be doing at different locations, especially probably like a lot of the fab work, and probably dropping in the new engine, maybe not dropping in the new engine. Maybe I can do that here because I actually have my own hoist, which I keep disassembled and underneath towards the front of the car. Big question. Will a longitudinal V8 fit in here where this transverse V8 fits? Junk. All my stuff. Okay, I'll clean that later. I think so. I actually think so. So, here we have this super wide sort of opening, and it's actually a lot further from back here in this sort of trunk firewall to the firewall on the front, that I can probably get away with this. Now, if I had to do any sort of cosmetic changes, what would I do? I would probably wind up pushing this firewall here and just sort of sliding it forward, even possibly keeping that angle, or maybe just sort of like tipping it up a little more upright just to make room at the very top. And how does that reflect inside? Well, remember, the car's being worked on, Ducati body parts up here. Interior's all apart because I removed the shift shaft. This is one of the original luggage shelf cars, so I don't really want to disturb this too much, and I really kind of want to keep the look and feel of this. But essentially, this whole piece here is at the same angle pretty much of the piece behind it, so it's all kind of the same. What would I do? Well, really looking at it, let's come out a little bit so you can see. I would probably go into this piece right here, just sort of put something that's like a straight up and down block and cover it in leather while I slide this and the entire piece out at an angle, or just tip it a little more upright and then put like a filler piece going across the top. And I think if I did that, I'd be able to fit the entire engine and trans in, so that as we look at where the original differential is right here, right through there, that the differential is essentially landing at the exact same place for the new transmission, which is pretty far forward on the 360 transaxle, that it would have enough space then to go back, to which I may have to cut up. First off, there's going to be no transverse sort of T-shaped muffler. What I would do would be to have a singular or dual muffler setup coming out, right? So this is gone, and that frees up a lot of space up here. And I may, to sort of make space for it, as you can see the bottom of the trunk up there, have to maybe put a little bit of a hump in it or something like that to get it to fit. But for the most part, I mean, when you look from here all the way to where there's like a gas tube that goes across way up there, that you can see things hanging off. You can see the gas temperature sensor hanging down right there. Let's zoom in. Right here, that's the gas tube that connects the two gas tanks, one over here on this side and the other one on the other side. That I think they're most of the length that they put in on this car. They pushed the cab forward far enough. The 308s, I think, had much longer hoods than the GTBs and the GTSs than the GT4. That really, most of the length that they added to the chassis to add to the wheelbase is in the back. So when I look at the width of this space in between this frame bar and this frame bar, which now really looking at it, it's very, very wide. I know it took rough measurements like before buying, and had some factory measurements, which are pretty close from the document that I have. But to be able to really fit it lengthwise. Now, lengthwise, you can see the diff is way back up here. I'm going to squeeze back out. So you can see I'm literally sort of like under the bumper right now on the ground. This diff is way up here. Now, if you look at the diff on the transaxle, I'm betting that the back of the transaxle with the engine and everything mounted into which, let's say I have to remove that strut bar right here in front of the motor and sort of say, build something else that gives support going across up there, would be maybe some of the only fabrication that I would have to do from a true chassis standpoint. Now, what else am I facing? If you look at this side frame rail, I believe this frame rail was messed up. This car was in a rear end accident in early 1980s. The car was actually flipped by this famous this collector named Marshall Matthews, and I'll show pictures, but up in the Bay Area it was flipped on Skyline Boulevard to where the whole car wasn't really crushed or anything, but it did flip over. But that didn't really, I don't think, affected the frame rails. But when my dad went to pick it up in Los Angeles, when he went to go drive it home from this repair guy named Bill DeCar, who used to be kind of famous in the Ferrari world, it was crashed. Some guy rear-ended him in LA, no insurance, in the early 80s. And the car got put on a flatbed and sent right back to Bill. And he wondered like how in the same day he could get the same car back. But when he put it back together, this driver's side frame rail, I believe, sort of curves up. Now, what do I have to prove that? Whenever I put this car up on a 4-post lift, and use this sort of part right here as the jack points, this side, and you use hockey pucks to balance it out and not harm the car, this side always took an extra hockey puck so the car wouldn't teeter. So I think somewhere up there that this piece is sort of coming up higher, and then this side always looked like the wheel was tucked or lowered a little bit. So there's just something that it's not square. So that has to go back to a frame shop to really measure everything out and see if they could just sort of snip, pull it down and add bracing in between with all the sort of structures that go to the uppers, like right up there, like that ladder structure that goes up. I don't really want to remove any of that, and unlike the StanceWorks build, I mean, I know that these welds are kind of crappy and stuff, but I just want to really clean the frame up, and while it's being repaired, I'll probably steel it, paint this, and then up here, this is going to be gone. I'll have mufflers coming out either side, to which I'm going to do probably Valvetronic mufflers that have adjustable baffling and noise. And then up here, these side things will come off, and the big bumper with the shock in it are going to come off, and I'm going to make some type of like a custom bumper that either out of fiberglass or carbon fiber that just sort of like curves up with the natural shape of the car, making it look a little bit more racy. I'm going to do something similar on the front too. So all in all, keeping gas tanks. I want to keep the original gas tanks in the gas system. I'm going to put new fuel pump and filter, obviously, but I'm going to keep them external. And then I'm going to slide the new engine as far forward as possible, exhaust coming out and through these sort